When you're asked what was your first zombie movie, what do you tend to think of? Dawn of the Dead 2004, Zombieland, 28 Days Later, any of Romero's films, or maybe even technically The Walking Dead? Well, you know what my first zombie movie was? Hit it!
You hear the screeching of an owl, you hear the wind begin to howl. You know there's zombies on the prowl, and it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night. It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying time.
Now, even as kids, we get to know the archetype of the walking corpses, mostly mindless, rotting mobile bodies wanting nothing more than to consume the flesh and or brains of the living. When children's movies and shows use zombies, you tend to see a lot of the same old brains and generic zombies that want to eat ya and turn ya. However, with Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, that concept was given a twist, with the zombies giving the titular rotting antagonists a much different and more nuanced role to play with the living, also giving a deceptively simple but extremely dark glimpse as to why the zombies exist in the first place, the history of the island itself, and how vengeance can turn you into the real monster. I know, a really original concept with zombies, but with an emphasis on real monster. Now, a common theme in the Scooby-Doo franchise ever since its debut in 1969
Nice.
is that there is always more to the monster than meets the eye when it comes to the situation surrounding it. And the true monsters are the people behind the mask and their ill intentions. This animated movie was my gateway drug to zombie media. Its familiarity with the iconic crime-solving dog and Mystery Inc. giving it a lot more accessibility for families, considering the rather violent and disemboweling nature of most zombie media. But it also doesn't treat the young nor adult audience as if they were stupid or needed a cookie-cutter formula to digest. It being a perfect example of utilizing zombies so that everyone can enjoy it while still retaining its essence as not only a Scooby-Doo entry, but also as a family film all can enjoy. Today, we will be discussing why Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is a perfect family zombie movie.
It's a terrifying time.
You know, most feature-length films derived from classic animated properties, especially the direct-to-video format back in the day, tended to either be rushed cash grabs, soulless stories crammed with celebrity cameos, reimaginings with a horrid art style, or all of the above. However, with the trilogy of Scooby-Doo direct-to-home videos, something struck a bit different, especially with the first of 4 movies entitled Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island in 1998. From the start of the movie, we get the same old creepy abandoned manor vibe of so many mysteries, leading to the catching and unmasking of the typical middle-aged to old white guy trying to scare away some kids. This one specifically was for printing counterfeit dollars, billions of them. Homie, the IRS and FBI would be on this guy way quicker before some teenagers. However, right as we get the classic,
And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that big dog and you meddling kids.
do we jump to Daphne talking about how monotonous that life was getting. The movie starts off as a meta-commentary on how stale and droll the mystery solving had gotten after what, at that point, was almost 30 years. Not including the 80s spin-offs. This was the first Scooby-Doo story that treated the audience less as childish Saturday morning cartoon viewers or using some gimmick to attach them to a known IP or celebrity, while allowing the mystery gang to have some depth and purpose. Everyone is grown up now. Daphne is now a syndicated mystery series host, Fred her producer, Shaggy and Scooby working as airline customs officers, obviously pre-9/11, and Velma as a mystery bookstore owner, all following paths that somewhat fit their personalities but allowed them to develop on their own, although everyone seemingly feels like something is missing or bored with the lives they have led so far. with Daphne reminiscing of Ghost and Caper's past and gearing up for a new segment called
Haunted America.
Fred rallies the mystery gang back together to find a real ghost and or monster for once. We get a musical jam of a montage as Skycycle sings about each and every monster and ghost being a sham, a fake, a fraud, and a big fat phony. Even for them, the fear of the ghost and ghouls they face just being some rando in a mask lost its flair. They are sick of it, and some in the audience could agree. They want the real deal and end up in New Orleans.
That's just New Orleans.
What?
A local woman by the name of Lena gives them a tip that there are ghosts of long-past pirates at Moonscar Island and that they are very real. As they make their way through Swamp Fever via Jacques Ferry, he details to them that the local bayous there were home to many a pirate evading the law, especially the titular Morgan Moonscar. Along the way, Shaggy and Scooby fall off the boat to be attacked by crocodiles and saved by Discount Crocodile Dundee, Snakebite Scruggs, one of many suspects in the upcoming mystery. Reaching the island, they see the plantation house from Swamp Fever, and Scooby spots an obnoxious amount of cats. Who in their right mind would have that many cats? Just for Scooby to piss off the gardener. The Hot Pepper Plantation's owner, Simone Lenoir, tells them that they can come inside to investigate and record anything for their ghost sightings. Not too far into their arrival, do they witness a spectral presence release its cold mist to carve an inscription on the wall, telling them to get out. While recording the message, it is extended to include beware, as Velma starts to levitate, and we get a first inkling of Velma's sexuality.
This just gets better and better. Maybe from where you're standing.
You are gay.
Looking back at the videotape, they see the image of a pirate ghost being the culprit that carved this message. Simone says it is most definitely the poltergeist of the Morgan Moonscar. As they leave to investigate further, Velma scrapes open the wall where the word Maelstrom is displayed, revealing the very house they are in was built from the ship of Morgan Moonscar's crew. Despite the pirate that pillaged and plunged the local area for years, just having its corpse lie here and haunt whoever approaches, having his very ship, the pride and joy of any seafaring scallywag, being converted into a Louisiana plantation mansion does raise some questions. Shaggy and Scooby leave the group to plunder Hot Peppers, getting chased by Snakebite Scruggs' pig Mojo into an open grave. It's here where we get the image of a skeleton being reanimated into a walking, breathing zombie. Surprisingly well animated as the flesh grows over the bony frame. As it threateningly lumbers forth, the two escape as they bump back into everyone's company. The zombie disappears to make Shaggy and Scooby's claims of zombies seem crazed and confused. These brief but impactful scenes of the zombies coming to life, their flesh not really rotted, but more so withered, as if dried to the bone, is detailed with their eyes whitened out. To be honest, this wrinkled visage of the undead has stuck with me as a unique character design, less a scientific anomaly of a virus and more so a magical manifestation that can spring a lifeless pile of bones under the earth to life with flesh and blood. It's creepy, but for the most part, just really cool how it is done. As night creeps in and the gang goes to their rooms to sleep, Scooby and Shaggy see a ghost of a Civil War soldier in the reflection, warning them to get away, accentuating the paranormal activity at play. Again, with no one seeing it but these two, as Velma discovers the mirror they saw the ghost in was actually the property of a Civil War colonel. Scooby's disdain for and chasing the house cats forces Simone to eject Scooby outside. This movie being the first step into zombie obsession for me, and also being possibly subliminal messaging to rot my prepubescent mind in order to adopt tons of cats later in life. And it was successful. Not being able to enjoy their to-go dinner in peace because of all the little pussies outside. It's okay, my best friends are cats. I have a P-word pass. They drive out into the bayou by themselves because of those cats. Velma and Fred argue that this mystery they are going into is an intricate plot to get the pirates' hidden treasure or finding oil under the island or some insurance scheme that the mansion owners are doing, as the ghosts and zombies spectated must be masked villains or hologram holograms or something. They are so used to the same generic formula that the notion of anything real or remotely dangerous outside of self-inflicted arrhythmia is out of the question, which again is the characters referencing the fatigue of the franchise at that point, but also serving a little wink at the family to say, ooh, but it is real, ooh. When Scooby and Shaggy go to the water for a drink, a green aura bursts between them, causing an army of the dead to rise from their graves, wearing outfits from different eras. Trying to escape, the mystery machine gets stuck in the mud as they are frightened by the gardener. The rest of the gang suspects the gardener since he is always at the supposed scene. Daphne and Fred find the abandoned mystery machine when a zombie lurches from nearby bushes to be dropped by Daphne. I feel like this was the first flick where Daphne started to be a real girl boss, something that would stick around for quite a while. Shaggy, Scooby, Daphne, and Fred all stand over this supposed imposter and expect Fred to unmask the goon. But then Fred, in his immense strength, literally pulls its head off as they throw the decapitated cranium around like it's hacky sack, realizing what they've stumbled onto is very real. Throwing around the head of a raisin pirate makes for good slapstick while dealing with a semi-morbid concept in a family-friendly manner. After a rousing romp of hot potato, this discovery spurs the paranormal entity to bring more zombies into the picture. We see tons of zombies arise from the ground as the gang are about to be swarmed. The dead have all but claimed the land and truly made it a Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
He said it! He said it!
The following music montage is by far the coolest zombie media to ever exist, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Nothing screams 90s childhood and making horror badass as much as this jam did for me as a kid. My personal biases aside though, while it took a bit to get to the zombies, the detail they have are top notch, not looking like goofy versions of the undead like some iterations. Looking at you, cash grab sequel that harps on our nostalgia that I may or may not cover in the future, but the slapstick and physical comedy of Fred and Daphne slicing a zombo in half with a pulled back branch, Shaggy and Scoob pulling on a snake to use it as a vine, only for the supposed villain of a zombie to give them an actual vine to Tarzan away. Now, you know, they don't go full Left 4 Dead mode and have Shaggy, Fred, Daphne, and Velma just team up as a survivor team and mow down hordes of zombies with Molotovs, firearms, and sexy thick dudes or anything, but they fight back in slapstick humor that was a key part of the show and many animated series of that era. In the chaos of the slow-moving and wisping dead approaching everyone without really doing anything in a violent way, some even there only to help them, everyone just ends up running away and attacking the undead. While the zombies themselves move in ways that can be seen as combative, they are mostly the ones being destroyed. Shaggy and Scooby stumble into a cave and find voodoo dolls of the rest of the gang that are able to manipulate them. Fred stumbles on a secret passageway that Lena says was used to hide away from Union soldiers all the way back in the Civil War. Lena goes on to say Simone was drug away by zombies as the group travels down the darkened tunnels of the underpass, with Velma noting there were no drag marks to speak of as they discover a room that is supposedly for voodoo rituals. The ceiling, revealing the starry but clouded sky, as the seeming source of all the ghostly enterprise across the island throughout the night, appears to have resonated from here. With everything lured in place, the rite can begin. The facade of the culprits behind all of this can finally be dropped. The mystery reveals itself to be the two southern women of Simone and Lena to be the villains of the conspiracy. Transforming under the full light of the harvest moon, both women become cat monsters akin to werewolves. They are the true embodiment of crazy cat ladies and what it can turn you into. Becoming the actual monsters of the film, they begin to divulge what made them this way, and the story of the island's zombie population. We see the previous lives of Simone and Lena as they lived in the bayous of the 1700s, with their village celebrating a harvest moon under their cat god's light. It was then that the crew of Morgan Moonscar made landfall and drove everyone of the village but Simone and Lena into the bayou to be devoured alive by gators. Yeah, this is pretty dark for a kid's movie to have a full village of people be eaten alive by gators, but you know, it's probably the most kid-friendly version possible of massacring a village of people, considering, you know, this was a band of pirates centuries ago, and we know what pirates are really capable of in those times. And it's not of the Straw Hat variety or the Jack Nicholson variety. Seeking vengeance, Simone and Lena invoked a curse upon the Moonscar pirates, changing their own forms, adorning them with razor-sharp claws and teeth to allow them to slaughter the pirates, and not only that, but drain their life force energy, turning the plunderers into withered zombies, doomed to walk the island every harvest moon, only ominously speaking or moaning at anyone that draws near. Not really telling people what the danger is, but they are doomed to walk this earth eternally. The curse being a double-edged sword of them becoming werecats gave them the ability of eternal youth and practical immortality, so long as they drained the life force of other people. For the next 200 years, they would lure unsuspecting people to their island to siphon their life force further and create an ever-growing army of the damned. From spice traders that established the pepper plantation that they would eventually take over, to Civil War soldiers of both factions, to even tourists just trying to enjoy a vacation in Nolans. Their original intentions of wanting the pirates to not only die, but eternally suffer by living in a Louisiana limbo, turning them into monsters they feared and fled from. Hunting down people of all creeds indiscriminately just to feed their lust for eternal life. Even bringing in Jacques, to become an eternal ferry driver for them to lure in more people, causing countless individuals to eternally suffer for their own gain. This concept and twist is so epically done. The fact that the zombies themselves are not the antagonistic entity or there to attack, kill, and or to devour the flesh or brains of the living, and instead were there to try and run off any survivors through fear that approach the island so they don't share the same fate as them, is mind-boggling. A zombie movie where the zombies don't want to turn others into zombies or eat their flesh, they're actually the good guys? Like, holy fuck, this is some shit I never would expect from a Scooby-Doo direct-to-video film, but here it is, the gateway drug into zombies and zombie-like accessories, and it had a good twist and a real threat and more. From there, the gang fights back and uses the very voodoo dolls that were there to bind them and reverse the roles to stall the werecats. During the skirmish, the werecat women are nearly successful in siphoning Shaggy and Scooby's vitality, almost turning them into another set of withered zombies. Thankfully, they are stopped, and the time of the harvest moon has all but missed its mark, leaving the trio of werecats to horrifically turn to dust and bones in a matter of seconds. Their curse unfulfilled, but breaking its hold on the dozens of victims across the island. From there, the zombies that fought back held down the werecats to delay their life lust and aid the mystery gang to prevent undead denizens from being stuck on this purgatory on Earth, could finally be released from their unearthly coil, their withered forms being cast to the wind, their bones able to finally rest in the soil below. The animators didn't have to go this hard on the zombies going to the afterlife, but just look at this. I'm gonna not talk over this part.
What's happening to them? Their spirits have been avenged, Shaggy. So they...
As a kid, I rewound the VHS tape so many times because damn, that's gross but so damn cool. I just realized how old I made myself feel talking about VHS tapes. Oh god, I'm in my 30s. The ending goes on as they move about their lives, their camera destroyed, but the evidence evident in the gardener's true identity being an undercover police officer looking into the disappearances of the victims. The movie ends on Scooby being antagonized by the cats as they leave Zombie Island, showing that the true threat all along was cats! Cats are the true cause of zombies! Why didn't I see this sooner?
I love cats. I love every kind of cat.
Now, why this is a perfect family zombie movie is the fact that not only is it attached to a familiar face that all generations can enjoy, but it's also because zombies themselves are really no threat whatsoever. They have no desire to cause harm to people they interact with, and only serve to be a deterrent away from the real monsters and dangers of the island. Again, being zombies that break the archetype of biting and eating others and just being eternal victims damned to walk the earth, and hopefully can break the curse, but can't really communicate and just kind of moan at people. It starts off as a semi-typical Scooby affair that had some meta commentary talking about how bored they are with masks and whatnot, but it turns into a story that wanted bigger stakes, and it got them when ghosts, ghouls, zombies, and even werecats came into the picture. Where the hell did the werecats come from? That was so out of left field, but I guess it makes sense with all the cats. When it was the masked goons, the endings were clear, with the mystery being the biggest part at play. Even in recent memory did the numerous series since 1998, movies starring WWE stars, multiple incarnations of the gang, random accolades, and more, not including that BS put out by Mindy Kaling. That shit needs to go in the vault. That's one of the shows that HBO needs to get rid of. But most of these harken them back to just unmasking masked villains. Does the concept of the gang getting tired of the routine and growing past it and wanting more really get accentuated? The following movies that came after this one in the directly related Scoobyverse being more of the real threats, ranging from aliens to witches and even a video game virus. The threat of the zombies was the catalyst for this triage, or whatever the term for four of something, of good Scooby-Doo content was to come. Real threats gave for more interesting stories to tell instead of just masked enemies. What kind of threat is there for them and the audience if they don't feel like any danger is really coming to them? But the danger they face being a facade the entire time, being the danger was not actually something that could hurt them, but what actually they thought was the good guy, showing that the monsters we face could have good intentions. The visage of a ghoulish beast doesn't mean a nightmare of reality. This is not a zombie thing that patronizes kids, bores a family, nor will it traumatize children with images that burn into their memory, unless you count the zombies and cat people's flesh melting on and off. But if you're like me, that was the best part of the movie. That was so cool. I mean, can you see the animation here? It is so well done. That is so impressive. Oh my god. The film obviously had a passion for horror that it wanted to express for a PG audience, and it delivered in spades without being a hollow mess that would be forgotten in a dollar store bin. When people bring up Scooby-Doo movies, most people talk about either Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Curse, or Cyber Chase and the Alien one, but it's usually the Witch's Curse for those sexy goth chicks.
I'm a hex girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you.
If you want further evidence this movie was given more passion to a horror and zombie-loving centric audience for kids as well, look no further than the cash grab soulless sequel that was Return to Zombie Island, where even in the flashbacks where they reanimate things, they had to spruce up the hand-drawn animations of the 90s. They took away fine details, they lined the messed up the guys, the zombies' eyes just don't look good, the jolliness of Jacques, and mostly, just importantly, making the zombies look dead. They made it goofy again. The whole point of the zombie movie of Zombie Island was just for it to be, genuine horror for kids. It's kind of like Courage the Cowardly Dog, which he did eventually cross over with. So they just lost the original message of horror for kids, but in a PG filter. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island treats the younger viewer like a fellow appreciator of horror, and more specifically wanting to go into zombie media, and does it in a way that gives the zombies, no matter what kind of life they led before, being a Union soldier, a Confederate soldier, a plundering pirate, a rich businessman living in New Orleans, or even some tourists, not to just be mindless drones, and have a new lease on morality, looking to help others to not become one of them in their damned existence, but also using their identity as corpses to deliver and magnify on the classic slapstick humor of the Scooby-Doo image. Having a mystery like this really picking the brain for all audiences to enjoy. It also won't have Karen moms writing Warner Brothers asking why such devilry would be brought into the house, despite them buying the product. Hell, as I have said numerous times before, as the zombie YouTuber guy, this was one of my most replayed movies as a kid, and it is a zombie movie that deserves to be seen by everyone. Even if you aren't a fan of Scooby-Doo or zombies, its story is just plain good. I honestly think it is the perfect family zombie movie.
It's a terrifying time.
That about solves this mystery. What did you think of this look into the Warner Brothers VHS classic? Did I ramble too much incoherently about the subject? I kind of threw this script together as a fun idea, but am I looking too deeply into a freaking Scooby-Doo film? What do you think is a better example of a family-friendly zombie film? What's your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments. I've been meaning to make this video for well over a year, so I'm glad to have finally put the focus on it. What do you want to see next? Be sure to be a patron on my Patreon or a YouTube channel member to be featured right here on this sexy list. Right here on this list of victims, suspects, patronage people here. Until next time, I'm Zackass, aka Wow Such Gaming. Stay happy, stay healthy, and Ruby Roo! Stay well, man.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now.